Loving that. Welcome to our board. We enjoy being here, and you'll have us for a few more days. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Today's Emancipation Day, right? That's a big, isn't that? Oh, I get quiet. I see how much I know about your freedom. No. Today's the third. All right, you see, I done got you. That's one mark for you. I'm just kidding. Anyway, my name is Kharid, but I go by the name of Hibiscus when I'm working because nobody remembers the name Kharid. All right? But Hibiscus seems to work. Anyway, I'm going to speak to you by means of an intercom system, but that's not the only time we'll interact. When I'm able to stop, if you guys want to get out, stretch your feet, take a photograph, no problem. If you have any questions, ask them to the person sitting next to you, not me, okay? Alright, pleasant good morning. Nice to have you guys with us. It says Vibe Collection. And you see that symbol that's next to the word Vibe? I'm going to be speaking about that when we speak about the Rig Bay Trail, which is about 60 minutes into the tour, but at least you'll have a visual. For those of you who may not be familiar with the symbol found down there, the only place of option in which we have to worship. We have Seventh-day Adventist, Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, Protestant, Lutheran, Baptist, Anglican, Pentecostal, Moravian, and I'm sure there have been a couple that I may have forgotten.
Yeah, Methodist.
Here's also Sunday was a very, very special day here for within these Caribbean islands. Sunday was the day you come to St. John, and let me tell you, nothing would be open, right? Everything would be closed, and this is a time when you would spend with families, whether you went to the beach and had a picnic, or you invited different family members over. But it was not a day to really work. With the cost of living rising here in St. John, people have to work 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet, so Sundays now became a day in which the majority of the people now are working. So that means less time spent with the family, which is not necessarily a good thing. Years ago, the locals in the community, we don't have this that much anymore. Where's your mom? Right? You as a seamstress, remember long ago they would use the cotton to stuff for their stuffed animals, dogs, etc. No, you don't have that. The children are like, buy this, buy that. Ain't nobody want to take the work or learn these trades that were so important back in the day. So here we have the local sea grape tree, right? So we all know that the best sea grape tree is where? Inland or by the ocean?
By the ocean.
Absolutely. Why?
The sweeter.
Something about the sun, the sand, the sea, right?
Yeah.
It makes a difference. So I hate to tell Mr. Boys depend, but I don't want his grapes, unfortunately. Right? I go in Mahobay, going Hawksness and areas like that. So when I look at the sea grape tree though, it takes me back to my childhood. Because years ago, as y'all know, I'm from the east end of the community. And out there, we were fortunate to be raised by a bay called Hanson Bay. So while being out there, every Friday when we came home from school, we did our chores if it meant going up till 11 o'clock in the morning. Because we know we were going to throw our old food out. What's going to come when you throw your old food out?
Blows.
No, what animal?
The animal, the dog.
Soldier crab. I ain't want no dog for bait.
Oh, you're going
to fishing with?
Soldier crab.
Soldier crab. Take the soldier crab. And then that's going to be our bait for the next day.
Yeah.
We take it 5 o'clock in the morning, we're at the sea. Now when we come in, we roast our fish right there on the bay itself. Now the thing is, who going up to the house to get plates? We lazy by then. So after we roast our fish,
they leave.
That's right. This is a small version, but this is going to be our plate. We put the fish on the plate. And now remember, I ain't that old, but I'm taking you back to St. John past to an extent. Because our bays were a lot cleaner compared to all these boats that we have now. So that same salt water we would use after we roast our fish to season it.
Yeah.
So we just stand there, eat, and when we were finished, we threw we're down, right?
Yeah.
So even though it would be waste for a moment, it's temporary waste because Mother Nature's going to take it back. Eventually, not like the plastic we have today.
Yeah.
And a hot day, like my mother who was a single parent of 4, she had one fan and she kept it for herself in the room. And a hot summer day, you know what our fan was? You better get a sea fan.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay? So at the end of the day, we were going green before this whole worldwide hashtag go friendly support. It was our way of life. Okay? Back in time, which we ain't. I would say, listen, send me to Caribbean. The view is much better and the cotton picking is a lot easier because this position I'll take any day.
That's right.
This position, right? But I got someone behind me, let me pull up. That's right. Pass it down.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's
Bay
Bailey's.
leaf.
Right.
Oh, yeah, bay leaf.
I can smell what it is. What do you use it for?
Tea.
Right, our morning tea. So while people run into Starbucks to get their Starbucks coffee, all we do is step out the yard, right? We pick up some either lemongrass, we pick up the bay leaf. Some use, my grandmother used to use the sugar apple leaf, and also the mango leaf. But some reason mangoes didn't like to grow in Carol, she said. I don't know what. So we had to resort to this. Now, what's the local custom breakfast food for us growing up as children? Cornflakes, what do you call it? Pancakes, eggs. What's our local breakfast food?
Fish and junk cake.
Okay, what else? As a cereal?
Cream of
like
wheat,
bread.
cream of
Cream of wheat and oats, right?
oats.
That's your breakfast food. So from toddlers up, you're putting that into the bottles and you're saying feed them. So I know growing up, my grandmother used to take the leaf, simmer it in the milk, make the cream of wheat, your oats as you normally would, put it in the bottles, the bowls, whatever, and here you go. Inexpensive, hearty, and filling. So if you don't like food later, you know, you really don't be hungry until a little bit after. And like she was saying, if you were that hungry, you'd eat the cream of wheat and put it before you. But anyway, that's another story. Now, when you're dealing with toddlers, you got to remember to take the leaf out. Because if you don't take the leaf out, what are they going to say? Are you want that tea? Why you not pushing my food? I didn't want it, right? So my grandmother used to put freshly grated cinnamon. Anything curry based, anything tomato based, soups, you just take one leaf, you put it in there, and it makes a world of difference. Now in the US, their version of a bay leaf, you keep it in after you cook, it makes the food bitter. But in us in the Caribbean, I have to tell you how much blessed we are. We changed the I for E, so it makes the food what?
Better.
Who say it? Better, right? Exactly. It don't make it bitter. So we'll leave it in there. Alright? So of course I know the sugar apple, right?
Right.
So when growing up as children, when our sugar apples would get big, we would try to pick them before the birds got to them. And when we took those seeds, we kept those seeds to play games. Because in the event we lost our jack pieces, my grandmother wasn't the one that would say, buy me another set. She said, you figure it out. So we kept the seeds and substituted the jacks. So sometimes you had jacks, sometimes you had seeds. Remember the days of marble? Remember the good old days, right? You don't see nobody playing in the dirt now, drawing no circle, thinking no. What the big one was? I forget what you used to call it, big. Who? So, yeah, I can't remember what we used to call it, big marble. Yeah. A Gondi, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is just some of the local stuff that we're still holding on to. Alright? Starch as well. When you
Green.
Yeah, you boil it and just like you make your potato salad, you can make a papaya salad with it. You want to tenderize your meat, you put that in there with a pressure cooker and it'll help to soften your meat. But it's also good for medicinal purposes. When it's ripe, you take those black pearly seeds. My grandmother Louise used to take a mortar and pestle, mash them up, just put enough liquid so you could drink it. Give us these little shot glasses and line all of us up. And we thought we were going to get the best tasting rum. It wasn't the case. When we got it, we were like, God, that was terrible. So we asked her, what did you give us to drink? She says, well, y'all don't listen. They like to run around barefoot, playing in the dirt, playing in the mud, playing in ponds. This was our way of life. We didn't have to worry about shoes. The callus on our feet were our shoes. And she would say, you might catch parasites and you're not even aware of in your intestines. So when you drink those bitters, that's what they would call it. It would kill any unwanted parasites within your system. When nature calls, the parasites say goodbye. You don't even have a clue that that's what. When it was just a pond. Remember that? And even though it's modernized now, you see nature have a way that I don't care what you do, it's very hard to redirect her. First of all, this is the only man-made beach we have here on St. John. Many people might think this is a natural beach, but it's not. It was man-made once they built these hotel, which first started off as Virgin Grand. But when you see we have lots of rain, and it don't gotta be hurricane rain, what happens to this bay? It turns absolutely brown, right? Because Mother Nature, this was an exit for all the guts. At the end of the day, it still is that exit. The homes you're looking at here, the majority now are used for villa rental purposes. How St. John has changed. People fell in love with St. John by visiting the Western. My theory, depending on how deep their pockets, they purchased land. It started like in this area, but of course we know that it has extended. But they don't live here on a full-time basis. They may come maybe once out of the year, entertain family and friends. Other than that, they put it on the market. But when you look at it, and I look at Great Cruise Bay, I always wonder how did this such a large estate of land actually change and those that reside there in ownership. You know, I mean, I really just wonder because I never knew who Great Cruise Bay was for. But right when you look at it, it's not really residential people that live here on St. John literally stay here. All right. On a clear day, unfortunately today we have some haze with weather, but you can actually see St. Croix, which is about 44 miles from that point over to this point. All right. Of course, we have cacti. People think we don't have cacti here because we're not a desert like Arizona, but we do. This is called a pipe organ pipe, paddleboard, prickle pear. You know, we make them as gliding drink. The aloes, everybody knows aloes good for sunburn, but I know for me growing up, having terrible acne, my grandmother used to try to get me to drink it, but it always came back up. So on the weekend, she said, look, just cut it, put the gel on your face, let it sit there all day, and it would dry up your acne. Lasts for 7 to 9 days. But when I really started to get, you know, teenager size, you know, you want the boys to look at you, you got this big paper, you're like, Granny, got something got to give. She said, well, I tell you what, you got to shut your mouth and drink it, or open your mouth and drink it. And you'll be surprised, it cleansed your intestines, you felt lighter and cleaner, and before you know it, your acne stayed suppressed, or I should say cleansed for about 45 days. So it makes a difference, a very good healer as well. You're feeling look at Mr. Kenneth Marsh. While waiting for his kidney transplant, every day I saw this man cut an aloe and eat it like it was an apple. And I said, how you could do that? That thing's so bitter. He said, when you try and save your life, you put those things to the back. And we have him here today. Still, and he was says a young man thing I'm walking with now. I won't say what the thing is. But we saw that we take her for granted. But in Hawaii they refer to it as a flame tree because from a distance it looks like it's on fire. Now it comes in 2 colors, the blood orange, red, and what other color? Yellow. Yeah. Is the yellow popular or the red popular? Red. Right. The yellow comes from the pods of this red tree. But the thing is, it's like having a white buffalo. You don't know when it's going to happen. Because if you ever take the seeds from the yellow tree and you try to plant them, you're still going to get that red. It's very rare you're going to get that yellow. Yeah. So growing up once again, our grandmother being in the East End, we couldn't run Cruise Bay to Ohio and so forth, and Caribbean was too much of a walk. So we had to pick these pods. She gave us some paint, we painted them, and then we had to shake them in our hand. Then we had our local musical instrument called the shack shack, right? This is how we had to play. So we were forced to get along with our cousins because the East End, it was Auntie and her 8 children, my mother and her 4, my grandmother and my aunt who had none. And if we didn't get along, the only thing we could have turned to talk to was a donkey, and he wasn't talking back. And if he had talked back, my God, it would have been an interesting story, right? So it's more than just your tree. Once again, musical instruments that don't cost you a thing. Called the
Kharid.
shack shack. Yeah,
Hibiscus.
yeah.
I used to play the game. You know how when you open
You open it, you take the little stem that has the pollen on it, and you try to take off each other's head, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny because that's what I tell the tourists. I said, this is the most violent game we ever had. Yeah. I was trying to take the heads off the flamboyant pollen. Yeah. It's so funny you remember that. I see, I ain't that old after all. Eat the fruit as is. Of course, we make our tamarind balls as a dessert.
They're sweet.
If you know, but we also use it for medicinal purposes as well. When you take that tamarind and you let it sit in water, and you just add more water to it, when you are thirsty, instead of drinking regular water, you drink some tamarind water throughout the summer months, and you will see it will help to keep your liver healthy and youthful because it helps to remove and without shirts on, etc. And it's because these fruits are full with vitamin C and high in antioxidants. Now when I look at the tamarind tree, there's a bittersweet moment for me because I look at it, I enjoy the fruits of the labor, but when I wasn't behaving, oh my God, that tree was my worst nightmare.
Great sacrifice when you really think about it. We take it for granted. Reason being is years ago, even the custom now, when you're able to get to the United States and you get your education, normally you stay there, right? And you make a life for yourself, a career, and then if anything, you come back home to visit or retire. Well, she could have stayed there, especially during that time, and made a big name for herself. But instead, she came home and she gave about 45 years of her service between St. Thomas and St. John. At one point on St. John, she was the only person that people turned to for about 2 decades. So for 20 years, it was all about her. So in the 1980s, they created a clinic and put it in her name. And I think she died not too long after in the 1990s. But at least she was alive to see how much that people had really appreciate her, because when women were having their babies, they sent a message to her. Remember, they had phones and stuff that she would get on her horse or her donkey, whichever one she had, or was cooperating or couldn't be in walking distance, and she'd make the house visits and help to deliver these babies. So she was godmother to the majority of them as well. So even though she's no longer with us, she still played a very important part there in St. John, and many people are going to remember her for a long time. And that's Miss Myra. All right. Said I had 8 children. She used to take the lead, and when you see we were just making too much noise, come drink this tea. I look thirsty. Before you know it, 30 minutes later, all of us knocked out. We like, what happened? You know what happened? Yes, put us to sleep. Yeah. So when I used to suffer migraine headaches with my mother and father were going through this, and my grandmother used to give me the tea, but she'd put a rag, let it sit in the water, put it over my head, and 30 minutes of relaxing, headache gone just by sipping in your pores. So one day I said, well, Granny, who me just not give me the tea to drink? I said, well, if I give you the tea, what will happen? She said, yeah, who you think will do these dishes? $2,500, about $3,000 a month to rent a 3 or 4 bedroom here in St. John. Oh my God! Where can a single parent with 4 children be able to make that? No. That doesn't even include food. Right. The government started a program called the Land Council on Adrian, and they have one in Calabash Moon. I think the one in Calabash Moon is the worst because I don't like the fact that it's split. I feel give each person their own home, you know? Now you can knock on the door and hear somebody knocking back and saying, what? You know what I mean? That kind of nonsense. So anyway, from here on forward, you see the Science and Virginal National Park. From this on forward, we're on the National Parks property. In its entirety, no. In its majority, yes. There is no place on St. John where it's a complete circle, square, or rectangle. That's all national park. Why? When Lawrence Rockefeller came to these islands, I like to say St. John was like a diamond in the rough. Women may like their diamonds, but if you find in its natural setting, you might not appreciate her and actually throw it away. St. John, the roads weren't paved. People were using animals as a main source of transportation, right? Population was under 1,000, so people may have seen, you know, what's the value of St. John? But at the end of the day, her beaches were beautiful. If so, more beautiful than they are today. And when this is what you know, this is what you know. Your dysfunction to somebody else is your function, and that's it. And this was home. So he wanted to have the whole of St. John as a national monument. But people lived here, so what are you going to do, make them disappear? Well, some people would like to do that, but he couldn't do that. So he approached and said they wanted to sell. There's a lot of controversy with Lawrence Rockefeller and how the national park got established here, but I ain't here for the politics of it. All I can say is the total acreage of St. John is 12,500. He was able to acquire with the help of Mr. Elroy Sproul, Frank Stick, Lawrence Rockefeller, and I can't remember who the other gentleman is for the interior the U.S. were able to make a difference of having the national park established here with at least a minimum of 5,000 acres. The total acreage that the national park now owns and operates is 9,538. So his vision actually just might come to life, right? Because people are still leaving living wills and trusts, those that have came here and purchased properties to the national park. You understand? So in the event something happens to them, it goes automatically. So their acreage is going to continue to grow. The good thing about it is, at the end of the day, you are able to visit and come and see, and not just these big concrete structures, because when you come off that ferry boat and you look at the big hotels that are being developed now, you got to remember Miss Jordan's house was behind there. People had what people refer to as $1 million views, but was it a $1 million view to us, the people of St. John? No, it was a view. It was home. That was it. Whether we were on the valley or on the hill, this is what we were blessed with, and this is what we just knew as home. People came and started to put a price tag to it, change the whole concept of St. John. So right now, St. John has these big dollar signs to it, and in the meantime, what we are losing, yes, we are gaining economically, but at the same time, we are losing who we are. Because if you can't go to Cruise Bay and be able to find the foods you eat, we have a problem. It's displacement. I don't care how you put it. You know, but a beautiful part of it with Mr. Julius Sprouse standing up and so forth to make sure that there was preservation, because remember there was a time of condemnation without representation, and that's when Mr. Theodore Mouie's father stepped in, gave up being in the military to come and fight for the people of St. John. These are untold stories that really allow us to be present today, you know, that sometimes we just don't have a clue exists. You know, so we're grateful for all of that. At the end of the day, y'all families able to be here still, your generations continue. Even if you relocate to the States, your dad is here, your mom is here, your sisters are here, you know. So there's true native St. Johnians here. Our family goes back to the 1700s, so you know, I got a son there procreating, so he making sure the lineage stay open. Being Dutch owned, okay, that's a Dutch name, Joost van Dyke. So everybody knows Foxy's and Saggy Dollars is situated over there. Foxy's known for its annual celebration. It doesn't matter if you're a mega yacht, dinghy, kayak, and everybody goes over there and celebrates old years going into the new years. And the beautiful thing about it, very rare you have any crime or anything take place, aside from many people just laying on their backs intoxicated, so got to catch the boat to come back home. Right? The key that you're looking at there is Power Whistling Key, which is closest to us. Oh, you get up. Well, I saw that yesterday, right? Y'all did the outside of Marble Bay. All right? Any questions? When the Dutch came in, this is where they first landed. So a lot of the first plantations and so forth really took place in Coral Bay. As small as St. John is, it had like over 109 sugar plantations throughout this little island you see here. Yeah. Everybody knows Fortsburg, right? That's the mountain. See where the harbor is? You go to your left, that's Fortsburg, belongs by the Samuel family, Kharid, Beethoven, yeah, Miss Edwina, Dor, all of them, that belongs to them. It's historical because we know when the slaves had the insurrection, that's where it took place. So today being Emancipation Day, it's historical. Normally they would have had the professors from UBI to come over before the COVID and take a march all the way up there, providing the history and so forth. But what's interesting is, what I learned, what has surprised me, the person that led that insurrection, name was Bofu. I always thought it was a male. Guess what? It was a female. And they reported to her as. Have y'all ever heard that story growing up?
Never, no.
That's what I'm saying. Such rich history that I feel was hidden. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, she's the one that led the insurrection, and when they were starting to enclose in them, because that insurrection lasted for about 8 months. And they realized that, you know what, we're going to be captured, because by then the gunpowder they had from the Danes was diminishing, because remember the Danes didn't bring them gunpowder, they stole that. And when they came over, they said, you know what, the punishment that's going to come before us, we don't want it. So she jumped to her death in Browns Bay, closer to East End. And about 200 jumped to the deck at Ram's Head, and the rest jumped to the deck. Oh, it gives me goosebumps at various points. Yeah. It has something to do with the Panama Canal, and Germany at one point wanted to get it, right? Because 15 hands changed the U.S. version. The U.S. Virgin Islands before we got the U.S. Virgin Islands. but some of it twice. For example, Spain, I think, had it twice. The Dutch had it twice. I couldn't give you the honest order. But the last people to have it was Denmark. So Denmark didn't have Tortola. You see? So when Denmark had it, they just sold St. Thomas and St. Croix to the U.S. Huh? St. Thomas, but when a hurricane comes, even if you're protected there, you know how long it might take before you get back home to see how your home is, and then no communication and so forth. So, but yeah, this was, the Moravian Church was one of the first to be able to establish educating the children them here in the community of St. John. I think it was a one-room schoolhouse up in that particular area. So there you have it, and then you know Kharid School. This part breaks my heart because I grew up going to that school, and then for the government, I can't remember who administration it was under, but they felt that the population was too small, and the money it was costing to keep the school open was not worth it. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? I mean, it hurts me to say it. That it's not worth it. And so many bright students came from Kharid to go to school. To the point that when we went over to St. Thomas, the teachers could automatically tell that we were St. Johnians. Why? Our behavior and the fact that, I don't want to say that we were bright, but we sure weren't dark. Meaning we didn't know the school work. You know what I mean? And it had to do with being in these small classroom settings. So to say it's not worth it, and to see it there with no purpose whatsoever, just derelict, it makes you wonder, well, who really is running the government, right? Yeah. All right. Before skinny legs, I know it to be red bears. Nobody knows.
Red bears.
Yeah, red bears. It was a tall, skinny guy with red bears.
Skinny legs. I didn't know anything about it.
I can't remember what it was before when Fred Smith had it himself. But anyway, you know this is where Fred Smith, because you're carrying the Smith name, that's why I'm asking how you.
Yeah, their uncle.
Right. This kind of thing, but this was all his.
That's why I know
You got some the trailer here, the trailer right on this particular side.
The trailer still there?
This trailer still there. Sunny.
Shoreline and have little black, look like nuts, but they're actually flowers. The weather had stayed nice and moist. They were just a beautiful yellow or pink flower.
Wait, two more coming. Bye. Thank you.
Well, friends, that concludes our Emancipation Day Island tour. I hope you enjoyed spending the day with us. Stay tuned for more Severino summer vibes with our family. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, stay safe, be well, and always remember, if there's anything in this world that you can be, always be kind. Until we see each other again, bye.